Hello, this is Key Creative Studio, Master Drawing Japan. Let's draw every day. Alright, so today I want to talk about drawing spheres and boxes um, in combinations with understanding the figure. Um, actually, I confess I'm taking this a little bit from a lesson from my instructor Glenn Villepool, who had this recently on his Villpool Academy, and I thought the timing was maybe good. And this is nothing particularly new, but I thought it might be helpful for you guys. Also, the photo that is being used here, with all respects, this is from New Masters Academy, and I highly recommend you guys go over and use the resources over at New Masters Academy. It is definitely worth it. And again, yeah, you really should go over and take a look at Glenn Vilppu. Glenn Vilppu's Vilppu Academy as well. That's also it's a an invaluable resource. So, okay, so in terms of understanding the figure, a lot of people will use, um, let's say, kind of this. Um, excuse me. Yeah, they'll kind of use like maybe this bean bag kind of model that we've seen a lot. Sometimes it really will look like a bean, right? Um, in animation, um, they'll do um, a like a flour sack sort of thing. This and you know, this is all well and good, and it's very useful, if we need to like understand, basically, having like two volumes like this that um, that have a relationship, right? The top part representing the rib cage, the bottom part, representing like where like the where the hips would be, right? So actually, you can see like these little marks I'm putting here. I'm already trying to indicate like some sort of sense for um, like where the turning edges should be, right? I think like that's really one of the biggest problems people have in terms of like working with either like this form or this form is being very clear like where the turning edges are. So like that's when we need to consider the concept of not just things that are round and organic, but something that has like um, a clear turning edge, and also implying something um, in space, right? Or something like that is going away in space, right? So so for example, let's say like this. Actually, you know what? I'll start fresh like this. One second. So I have this a spherical form here like this, right? And then if I combine that with a box form like this, right? So obviously, we have two volumes here now, right? And these two volumes now can represent the torso, just like, with like the flour sack or rice bag or whatever. The thing is that, when we do this, you know, we can kind of merge them together. It's almost like, if we, you know, um, put some sort of material over it, and then, like, we shrink wrap it around like that. But when we do that, we can get a sense of, like, of things pinching or twisting or something like that, right? And that is something we can apply to um, something we can apply to the figure, right? Because basically our bodies are these volumes that are connected together, but they're connected together, they're connected by flesh, and and of course, because they're connected, and like one thing might be like twisting around one way, we're going to get um, we're going to get what do you call it, pulling, or stretching, of the material, of the flesh material, but the good thing is, like, we can still maintain, you know these corners here, so we know where things are in space. Uh, so that creates kind of like an organic kind of experience, right? So let's say how I'm going to apply that, like, to this figure here, right? So for example, um, I lay down my gesture here, right? Leg coming down like this. Again, I tried not to get too wrapped up in in details just yet. Just want to get the overall feeling down first, right? Okay. So for the torso, it doesn't necessarily, it does not have to be like a perfect sphere like that, but we do have like this oval kind of form, which is somewhat spherical in its shape, right? Another thing, a really cool thing here is, if you notice, like, for her pelvis here, right? There is a very clear box that's dropping down. It's very beautiful. It's very, very beautiful box-like form that's dropping down. It is very clear, and that's what we want to aim for, right? Because it's very, very clear in terms of, like, where this is in space, right? And another added bonus for this is that these corners will provide a an, um, a landmark for us to, like, to know, like, where the iliac crest of the pelvic bone is protruding, right? Because actually it's going to be like, it's really like this. With salt, I think, like, it's kind of like that. I'm going to simplify it, but because the iliac crest um, actually is shaped like a like an S curve, really. Okay, so from that, then we have now I could just take this rounded form of the rib cage and like let that be our spherical form, which we can drop down into here like that, right? See how that works like that. All right. However, you still should try to consider like where things are turning. Um, for example, um, even though we're looking at this as like a rounded form, right? Um, it still will have properties of like a box, right? Like this, right? Right? And when we have that, we have a very clear side to that, right? So I'm not going to necessarily draw it, and you don't have to. You don't have to um, draw these things. You don't. It's not necessary, but um, it is helpful like just to be aware of these things. Like where they are in space, right? And to use that to inform what you're drawing. Okay. Okay. Just want to. So there are other areas in here, where we have like box forms as well. For example, this nice shoulder that we have here. There's also a box form that we have here too. See that? Right? So that's also very cool to make it clear to us in terms of like where things are in space. So we can get away from just doing like that for a shoulder, right? And you could do that, particularly if you're just doing like a caricature or something like that. But it's good to be aware of like where these things are. These things are in space. Okay. So and Glenn often like uses he kind of defines the shoulder as a box quite often, and I think it's quite helpful. That way it doesn't get too it doesn't get too um, mushy, for lack of a better way of saying it. And let's not forget our nice landmarks. The pit of the neck, right? The sternum is here. Okay. Basically, tenth rib is actually here. But that's going to continue down from like where this box is, right? Okay. Okay. The wrist is also a kind of a box. It's a little box, right? So that's also helpful, to consider. Okay. Now, let's talk about these legs here. Okay. So she has this really cool pushing down of her front leg, right? And this very nice, beautiful weight coming down on this foot here, right? Okay. So now, in terms of like the thigh, right? We kind of view it as this like cylinder shape, right? However, you know, um, we have like the musculature of the thigh, which is like the various um, quad muscles, or like the biceps of the back of the thigh that is also informing that, right? So quite frankly, we can think of this as also like being like a box, right? However, it will feed into this rounded kind of form, or this organic form, like that. So that can kind of like give us like more of a sense of something that is more organic, but at the same time, we have a very clear understanding of like where turning edges should be, right? Okay, so we can do the same thing here. You can have this nice clear corner for the knee, right? Coming down, patella is here. And that goes into the tuberosity of the fibula, the kneeling point. Okay, and then I always like to think of like where I consider like where muscles connect to, and then like how they pull away, and then they feed, sorry, and they feed back in to the other connecting point. So it's almost like to me, that's also a kind of like a squash and stretch as well for me as well. Sartorius is coming down into here. Okay, actually, sartorius comes all the way down into the shin bone, which is down here. Um, no, no. I have to be careful because I like drawing anatomy sometimes, so I don't want to get carried away. To be careful, because this girl is not, even though she's fit, um, she's not that when I say muscular in terms of things being shown. But again, I like to be aware of what these things are. Okay, so this is vastus medius. which is on the center. Rectus femoris is in the middle. Vastus lataris is on the outside. I don't think we can actually see it, but I'm gonna imply it. All right, so I'm putting a little bit more muscle on here for you guys, so you can see what's happening. Okay, and then of course we have the gastrocnemius down here. Again, this photo is coming from Newton Masters Academy. So again, please use the resources. They're great. Okay, and then over here on this leg, we also have another cylindrical kind of form, but we can make things kind of clear, by having a very clear, like a box form like that. Okay. Again, you have this rounded form like that. Sartorius is coming down in here. This. And then alongside that, you have the vastus medius, rectus femoris, vastus lataris on the outside. So you see, the cool thing about drawing anatomy is that like once you start to really appreciate it, yes, whoops, hello, excuse me. Sorry guys, I have to take care of that in the edit. Excuse me. Problems you don't have working with pencil and paper. All right. Anyway, there we go. I'm sorry. As I was saying, yeah, when you are like really getting able to like appreciate anatomy, um, it could be a lot of fun actually. The trick is though is to not to get too carried away, and don't let the anatomy, don't let your drawing of the anatomy be like what the drawing is all about. I mean, unless unless it's your intention to to do something illustrative in terms of anatomy. That's what the whole point is about. But people are not just sitting around like looking at anatomy. It's just only a tool to help us um, understand what the characters or what the figure is doing better. Let me see, how is this working out? Maybe let me straighten this out just a little bit. Excuse me. I don't like that. I'm keeping it small because for right now, because I want to be able to see it clearer. That's one of the reasons why people like they step away from their drawings, because sometimes when you're right up on it, your your perception um, is 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 not always so accurate. Yeah, I am human, folks. Yeah. Okay. If you get a little bit whatever, stick to what you know, right? I know ankle is high on the outside, it's low, sorry, high on the inside and low on the outside. Heel feeds in like that. Okay, there we go. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. So actually, that's pretty much it, really. Those are the things I wanted to talk about, which is using like spheres and boxes to make things clearer, when you're drawing. All right. Um, you can combine them together, um, and you can use them like throughout your drawing, to be clear where things are. Okay. Okay. Oh, use anatomy, to help you to like understand your figures better, but you know, don't let the anatomy like you use you. Um, it's just a tool so that we can tell our stories more clearly and more confidently for that matter. Just putting a little bit of human features here so we can know it's a it's a young girl. Bring this down a little bit. Oops. That's a little bit. There we go. hairs a little bit more. Whatever. Alright, I think we got the idea here. Oh, just one other thing. And this other part of the shoulder, that's also a box. Okay. Again, guys, you know what? Please keep in mind, you know, when I do these box forms, you know, these are things, you know, that are just there to help my understanding of the figure. Um, it's not trying to make that, you know, be like what the figure, you know, is all about. You know, in its final form, we're not gonna. Please, you know, don't try to keep those corners in there, um, unless that's part of your design. Unless that's, you know, that's your bag or not. You know, but I don't necessarily recommend doing that. You know, again, you know, these are just supposed to be tools just to help you. Okay. Okay. All right. I think I'm gonna bring this to a close. I think we got the general idea here. Okay. All right. I hope that was a little bit helpful for you guys. Um, I will be back again soon with another video. Okay. Again, as I always say, please, you know, draw every day. Draw every day. You draw. Okay. You know, don't don't let these machines, you know, do things for you. You know, um, it all it all starts with you and your ability to see and to visualize things. Okay. All right. All right. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you next time. All right. Take care. All right. Bye bye.